The Theros Beyond Death Prerelease. Hey everyone, it's VM Campos Magic Fan. I just flew in from the Theros Beyond Death, and boy are my arms tired, because I was fleeing the underworld along with Elspeth. Pelucranos was after us and everything. Anyway, I went to the pre-release at the local comics and stuff here in San Diego. It was a very cool event. And so this video is all about showing you the deck I built. So be sure to tell me in the comments how I could have improved this deck, how I could have won more, what you would have done. And tell me about any of the cards that you like that I pulled that you want for your decks. Let's get started. Alright, so I went with a black and white deck. I felt I got a lot of great black and white cards in my pull, so I went with black and white. And I got a couple of cool lands. I got the Labyrinth of Skophos. That's the one that is the new Maze of Ith that removes a creature from attacking or blocking. It's a little bit different than the original Maze of Ith. It just removes them from combat. It doesn't actually untap them or do anything else like that, but it's really cool. This one really helped me to really slow down my opponent's scary creatures. I just said, nope, you're in the Labyrinth, ta-ta. The other card is Field of Ruin. What if my opponent has their own Labyrinth of Skophos? Well, Field of Ruin would let me make one colorless mana or sacrifice itself and destroy their non-basic land, and then this just replaces itself with its own basic land. So those are the two special lands I got. In the creature front, the one drop was the Pious Wayfarer. It's a 1/2 for 1. It's got Constellation. So whenever another enchantment enters the battlefield under my control, target creature gets +1 until end of turn. So this was a nice little bump for only 1 mana, and then I cast another enchantment. Constellation goes off. In the 3 drops, we've got the Transcendent Envoy. That's an enchantment creature that would be triggering that Wayfinder. It's a 1/2, and then aura spells cost 1 less to cast, so this cost reduction has been very useful in this deck. Next, we've got the Eidolon of Obstruction. This is a 2/1 first strike enchantment creature that triggers Constellation, and it also slows down your opponent's planeswalkers a bit by having to now pay for their activations, which used to be free. And then we've got Daxos, Blessed by the Sun, uncommon, double white, legendary enchantment creature, Demigod, 2, and then the devotion is the toughness. So it comes in as a 2/2, and then it gets more tougher as you have more devotion. Plus, whenever another creature you control enters the battlefield or dies, you gain 1 life. In black, I only had one 2-drop. This is the Temple Thief. It's a 2/2, unblockable if your creature is enchanted or an enchantment creature. In the 3 drops, we've got Heliod's Pilgrim, 3 mana. It's a 1/2. When the Pilgrim enters a battlefield, you may search for your library for an aura card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle. Okay, there's a couple of auras that are in this deck that you can go get, which is really cool. So for 3 mana, you get a body, and you get to go tutor for an enchantment aura that you want. The black 3-drop is the Scavenging Harpy. It's a 3 mana 2/1 flyer, and when it enters, it exiles a card from an opponent's graveyard. There's so much graveyard shenanigans going on in this deck that having this Harpy eat your opponent's creature from the graveyard is really useful. What's even better is that not only does it eat creatures, it eats planeswalkers, enchantments, and so forth. Target card, that's even a land. Ooh, this is a nice Harpy. 4 drops in white, the Glory Bearers. This is a 3/4 enchantment creature, human cleric. Whenever another creature you control attacks, it gets +0/+1. So it's got a big butt, and then the other creature's butt gets big also for a moment when it attacks. So very cool. Now here we go, 4 mana in black. This is where the deck really shines. Well, not this next board Marauder. I just needed to pull it in to have more creatures, but okay, 4 mana, 4/3, whatever. Here's where it really shines. Nightmare Shepherd, 4 mana, 4/4 flying, double black devotion. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a 1/1, and it's a nightmare in addition to its other types. Okay, so this is tricky. It makes a copy of a creature, but not just as a plain old token, it's a copy. So it makes a 1/1, this comes back as a 1/1 with the mana symbols, because it's a copy, and then it gets to trigger again what it does here. Go get me that aura again. This is the win condition of the deck, and I managed to pull 2 of them. One of them was my pre-release card right there, January 18th to 19th, 2020. Still so weird to see the words 2020 printed on Magic cards nowadays. Wow, we're in the far-flung future of the year 2020. And what we have there are Nightmare Shepherds. One of them shiny, one of them not so shiny. In the 5-drops in white, we've got the Rumbling Sentry, 3/6. When it enters, you scry. Now, how does that even work? This is a giant, and it lets you see into the future somehow. Let's see flavor text. To provoke the mountain is to invite the avalanche. This is a Paris Sophia philosopher. Yeah, I don't know how scry fits into this, but okay, boomer. So we've got that. In 5-drop in black, we've got the Rage Scarred Berserker, Minotaur Berserker, 5/4. When it enters the battlefield, target creature you control gets +1 and indestructible until end of turn. So even your little 1/1 becomes a 2/1. What about that 2/1 first strike? Now becomes a 3/1 first strike, indestructible. And then you get a 5/4 Minotaur Berserker. And at the very high end in black, we've got the Blight Breath Catoplebus. That's not a word. 6-drop, 3/2. When it enters the battlefield, target creature an opponent controls gets -X/-X, where X is your devotion to black. So at the very least, it's -2/-2 if you only have this beast. Well, what if it happens to die and you bring it back with the Shepherd? The Shepherd's on the field, the beast comes back, that's 4 devotion, that's -4/-4. Can you believe that? Over on our other types of spells, we have in black Myers Grasp. This is amazing. -3/-3 aura enchantment. Now wait a minute, I have a cost reducing creature over here, so that would be 1 black mana to do -3/-3 onto your opponent's creature. Amazing. We've got the Revoke Existence. I managed to pull 2 of them. Exile target artifact or enchantment. There are so many enchantment creatures running around in this set that it's basically 2 mana destroy a 4/4 in white. Or all of the other great artifacts and enchantments. Goodbye Murder Spear and hello Revoked Existence. In the 3 casting cost slot, we've got Farika's Libation. I got the shiny one. I don't know if you can see it there in the camera. It's very shiny. This is a 3 casting cost instant. Target opponent sacrifices a creature. Okay, it's an edict effect, but wait a minute. Target opponent sacrifices an enchantment. Enchantment removal in black. They never do that. And it's printed in common for Pauper, if you care about Pauper. This is amazing. This is going to go into so many decks. This is instant enchantment removal in black. All you need to do is have the nice foil one like me. Next is the Banishing Light. This banishes an opponent's non-land permanent. So goodbye Planeswalker, goodbye Creature, goodbye Saga, goodbye your opponent's Banishing Light. That's pretty meta until this leaves the battlefield. So very nice here. Uncommon. And remember, the champion reached for a stone and Heliod placed the sun into her hand. Epic. And lastly, here we've got the Dreadful Apathy. 3 mana. This is really interesting removal. At the very least, the opponent's creature cannot attack or block for 3 mana, okay? But then you pay 3 more mana and you exile that creature. So if the creature can stay on the battlefield and not be a problem, just pay 3 mana. But if you've got to exile the creature, 3 mana for placing it and then 3 mana for exiling it. We've got over here a 4 casting cost kill spell, drag to the underworld, destroy target creature. But wait a minute, depending on your devotion to black, this costs X less. No, it doesn't count itself, it's not a permanent. But if you've got already the Nightmare Shepherd out, this is a 2 mana instant removal spell. I love it. Lastly, I have one of the artifact vehicles here, so the Thundering Chariot. This did so much work for me at the pre-release. 4 mana, 3/3. First strike, trample, haste, and it only accrues for 1. So if you drop the Pious Wayfarer, and then a little bit later you've got the 4 mana for it, you tap that guy, he's being pious over there, and then you're attacking with a 3/3 first strike trample. Yes, please, I managed to pull 2 of these in this deck. So there you go, those are my pulls at the Theros Beyond Death pre-release, January 18th, 2020. What do you think of the deck? I think it's very consistent. It's got answers, it's got threats, a 4/4 flyer, amazing. And we've got the removal, we've got the land, we've got low-cost spells, we've got higher-end things. I think this deck can work pretty well. When I played at the pre-release, I oftentimes had many answers to my opponent's threats, and I had my own threats. But that's what you want for sealed. Plus, it was pretty fun to play, and one of the colors that I like the best, black. Tell me what you think about the deck. How would I improve it? How did your pre-release go? How hyped are you for Theros Beyond Death on a scale of 1 to 9,000? Tell me right there in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to go to Patreon. You get a lot of free stuff at Patreon. Simply click that follow button. Move up to the $1 pledge and you'll get access to exclusive stuff like deck text, sideboards, and other cool stuff. And at the $2 range, I'll actually mail you a vintage card straight from my collection. No, not a Black Lotus. In any event, like, subscribe, follow, do all that good stuff. Check me out on Twitter, twitter.com/vmcampos. Thank you for watching the videos, and I've got many more coming at you in the year 2020. This has been VM Campos, and I'll see you in the underworld.